chug, 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 chug.
Welcome back to the Wizard Staff. I'm your host, Guy.
And I'm Blake. We are the Wizard Staff podcast, two drunk novices that have nothing better to do than talk about EDH. So we're the most qualified people you'll ever meet, and that's why we decided to do this podcast.
Yeah, we were pretty pretentious for having this idea of, we don't know much about podcasts, we don't know much about magic, we don't know much about anything, but hey, you should listen to us.
And thus, this podcast was born. So we're off to a great start. Guy, you recently bought a new microphone, so now you sound as sexy as I do.
It was one of my big boy purchases for my new job, was buying a much nicer microphone since that piece of shit for the first 12 episodes.
I'm glad you're now elevated to my level. How's it feel?
It feels pretty fucking good, if I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. As you've noticed by the title of this episode, this is the end of 2018 EDH review. So we're going to go through the entire year of 2018 from the perspective of Commander players. And so we've got a lot to go through. So I suggest that you all imagine yourselves at a fair and you're on a roller coaster ride. You need to sit down and shut the fuck up and strap in. So we have a lot to cover here.
Don't pee your pants.
Yeah, and don't stand up because you'll be decapitated. We're going to go through the year in chronological order because, efficiency. And we're going to cover very basic things. We're going to cover any changes to the ban list. There weren't any. The basics of each set and product, and any notable reprints, and any noticeable new cards that affected the format. But before we do that, we have a few really quick shout-outs.
First, I'd like to give a shout-out to Annie LaHue, my girlfriend, my love of my life. Thank you very much for supporting my nerdy habits and listening to this podcast, even though you probably don't understand what I'm saying half the time. But you are truly one in a million, and I love you very much. My next shout-out also goes to Ethan DeBoard, who has been such a great friend, and he's listened to every single episode. He was our first subscriber. He was on our episode 5 where we talked about the comparison of Magic to Yu-Gi-Oh! And I just want to say thank you very much. But I also want to school you for a moment because recently you told me that Force of Will isn't actually that good of a card. And I want to tell you, Ethan, that Force of Will is a very good card. Number one of why it's a good card is that it can be used anytime. There is no mana required. It can counter any spell.
Oh, God.
And so, for example, if I'm all tapped out and someone is about to start off on their combo to win the game, they're probably all high and mighty and feeling confident and be like, ooh, no one's going to stop me. But then hold the phone, fucker, because I'm about to go Force of Will on you. Boom, done. Force of Will. But also, again, Ethan, thank you very much for listening to this episode. And if you enjoyed that shout out, just let me know.
Okay. I like it. Annie, we've only talked once, and I feel like you've learned more about me through this podcast than through actually talking to me. Hi. Ethan, I also want to say thank you for listening to our podcast. You're great. You're probably one of the funniest people that I've met. And yeah, you're pretty awesome. My shout out is my friend Dylan, who we had for our EDH deck tech episode, doing how to make an EDH deck. And I just want to say thanks for getting Guy and I into this mess of a card game. We both very much appreciate it. And also for being a good friend who when I was thinking about it, you probably see me drunk more times than anyone else in this world, and you're still friends with me. So I think that says a lot about you. So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Dylan, I would like you to reach out to me, Guy Gibboney, and tell me about all the embarrassing things that Blake has done when he has been super drunk. I would really appreciate it. but I also really appreciate all the insight that you gave us for that one episode. I feel like that was some of the best content that this podcast has ever seen. Mm-hmm. If you ever want to come back on, just let me know. I'll gladly kill Blake.
All right. Don't do any of that. I thought I've told you everything, but I guess not. Like, I didn't tell you I was a klepto when I drink too much. Anyways, as always, Guy and I drink while we do this podcast. Drink responsibly, kids. Tonight, I am...
Not actual kids.
Drink of legal age, if you are of legal age. I am drinking something called Cook's California Champagne, extra dry. It's a bit rough, but it does the trick.
I'm drinking Blancs de Blancs. It's a sparkling wine from France that's supposed to be champagne, but it's from Trader Joe's, and it's much cheaper than champagne. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I spent a lot of money on this mic, but I didn't feel the need to spend $30 on champagne. But it's still pretty good. It tastes like champagne. That's what the point is.
It gets the job done. All right.
It gets the job done.
That should be Trader Joe's new logo. Or motto, yeah. Thank you. So we're going to kick off the beginning of 2018 with something that actually happened at the end of 2017. Sorry, guys. It's like unavoidable. And I'm talking about the unstable set becoming legal in Commander. This was a very controversial thing that was announced, and the Rules Committee, the people in charge of the EDH ban list, decided to allow unstable set, the silver border cards that normally aren't legal, to become legal for about 2 months. This was between December and January, and it had a lot of mixed reviews. We're not going to talk about every single controversy that happened this year, but we're just going to give you the basic rundown. So if you remember, it was like one pro thing about it was that it allowed people, especially the casual and creative types, to kind of mess around and try something new that you normally don't get to do. Another pro was that it did not kill or doom the format like a lot of people said it would. Yeah.
I'd just like to say that I didn't even know that this was a thing until maybe like 2 months ago, and I was like, oh shit, I missed out on this shenanigans, even though I'm not really interested in the unstable set, but I was still very much like, I guess that was a thing, but Commander went on.
Yeah, like, stuff happens. I guess one of the cons was a lot of people, you would hear a lot of people say like, just as WotC was taking Commander seriously, this happens. And unstable is considered a joke set. It's really obvious if you read any of the cards, and like, so people were like, now that these cards are legal, WotC isn't going to take Commander seriously at all, just as it was starting to become taken seriously by the company. And so it's like, I guess I kind of see your point, but at the same time, it's like, Commander's making them a lot of money. They don't care. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the best coordinated effort between the Rules Committee and Wizards of the Coast, but that's a different topic. Or that's too much into it that we're not going to go into. And then another thing I heard people say was that this was poor timing of this experiment, since a lot of people were on vacation. This was between December and January. This was during like a lot of the December holidays and New Year's Eve, which I find to be a piss poor excuse, honestly.
I kind of agree that I would almost say that this is a pro more than a con, just because during this time, since it's so casual and you may not have your normal meta with you, why not experiment? Like, get some unstable cards. The new unstable set came out around that time, and that's why the Rules Committee allowed for this. So really, yeah, this was actually the appropriate time so that you could experiment, and like WotC could take the biggest advantage of, having this new set, and Commander players got the most out of this format.
Like, we obviously have our own biases, but for Guy and I, we're just like, yeah, it happened. It was cool. It's like, it's fine. It didn't kill anybody.
Blake, did you play any?
No.
Did you play with any unstable cards, though?
I didn't, because, like, I just didn't want to spend the money. Because I knew it was going to, like, be over, and, like, because you know me, I'm fickle. and it's like I don't really like to spend money unless I know the cards are gonna be worth it. And so like personally, I knew that like this was only an experiment, and it's like I didn't really want to spend money on it. So that's the only reason I didn't. But if you did spend money on these unstable cards and like messed around with it, more power to you. Cool. I hope you had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do anything like unstable wise for 2019. And then I wonder if the rules committee will also kind of format Commander to that. Maybe if they release unstable instead during the summer, again, that would be another, I think, appropriate time, because that's when a lot of people tend to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an idea. I don't know how often they do unstable sets. I don't think it's every year, but I think we can expect another one, because I think it's like one of their most like highly sold products, if I have heard right. So we can expect another one, and that'll be fun. We'll see if the rules committee unbans that one when it comes out. Huh.
And then everyone will cry like a little bitch.
Basically. And then mid-January, we had Rivals of Ixalan set. Woo! Yeah, so this one had merfolk and pirates, vampires, and dinosaurs. Almost all of them are loved. Everybody loves... I mean, merfolk are very polarizing. People, I don't think, cared as much about pirates. Everybody loves vampires, and everybody loves dinosaurs. Like, they're just good. Yeah. And I think it was pretty well... overall, I think the set was pretty well received. What do you think?
This was still around the time when I was kind of trying to pay attention to what was happening with Magic.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Masters 25, which is the next set we'll talk about, is when I was starting to really pay attention to like what new sets were coming out and like what I should expect. But still early in the time, I was very much focused on like cards that already existed. And when Rivals of Ixalan came out, I was like, wait,
what's happening? What's going on?
So I don't have too much to say about this from my perspective, but
okay.
Dinosaurs are cool.
I think everyone loves dinosaurs, pretty much. That dinosaurs and dragons, man. Yeah, so I'll just give like my uptake, because I remember this pretty vividly. This was also when they finished the cycle of flip enchantments. So a lot of you kind of remember those enchantments that, like, if you meet a certain condition, flip into a really cool land. Like most notably, like the one that flips into a Gaia's Cradle, or the one that flips into a Tolarian Academy. Those are, I think everyone really loved those. I have not met a single person that was like, that was a terrible idea. What were they thinking? Everyone loves them. And yeah, that was pretty ingenious design, I think, creating that card. Because like I think, I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I think the only flip cards we've seen up until now have been werewolves and a few of the like horror cards where like they flip into a horror thing.
Well, you also have some of those creatures that turn into planeswalkers.
Yeah, you're right, Jace. Yeah, baby Jace into big man Jace.
Well, they had the cycle where it's baby Jace. You got Liliana, the heretical healer. Not Teferi.
Yeah, but
I forget what the white Gideon.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but now that I'm actually talking about it, I'm like, wait, shit, there's actually way more flip cards than I thought. Fuck, move on. I guess one notable card in this...
Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah. I think one notable card for me in this set was the Immortal Sun, because it was like as to my understanding, it was the first card to stop Planeswalker loyalty abilities. And we'd never really seen that before. We'd seen things that kind of interacted with counters, but never one that actively stopped Planeswalker loyalty abilities specifically. So that was kind of interesting. Just something we'd never seen before, a mechanic we'd never seen before. And then we saw like 9 new commanders from this set. There were the monocolored dinosaurs and Zakama and Kumena, Alendra, and Azer. We're going to put these all up on screen. I hope you're watching the YouTube video because we put a lot of work into this one. Yeah. Now moving on to Masters 25. Guy is now going to join us in March 16th. This was all reprints. All of Masters 25 was reprints. Some notable ones were Azusa, Lost But Seeking, and Blood Moon, Coalition Relic, Eldamri's Call, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Rest in Peace, and Vendilion Click.
Masters 25 was meant to be kind of the celebration of 25 years of Magic. Mm-hmm. So they reprinted a lot of the cards that, when people think of Magic the Gathering, these are the cards that you think of. I don't know if they actually were successful with that, because a lot of people were like, you're still missing a bunch of cards, but we'll kind of get into that later with Ultimate Masters, which is the last set of the year and also the last Masters for a while.
Yeah.
But Masters 25 was just kind of meant to be a celebration. Jace the Mind Sculptor probably being the most notable reprint of that whole set.
Yeah, because 25 years of Magic, that's a milestone, and I'm not even 25 years old right now, so this card game has existed longer than I've been alive, so respect. Chest bump piece. So some new art reprints of note, so not just reprints, but reprints with new art, were Doomsday, Arcane Denial, Imperial Recruiter, and Sundering Titan. So, yeah.
Ensnaring Bridge was also another one.
Oh, did I miss that one? Fuck. Okay.
I actually pulled an Imperial Recruiter from a pack. It was pretty exciting because it was actually at the peak of its hype. So I almost immediately sold it, or I don't think I sold it, but I traded it for 5 other cards that ultimately I ended up getting the better deal.
Yeah. I just remember everyone being thank God this has new art. It's we've been waiting so long for a card like this, because
it was worth over $100. I think some of them are still worth over $100.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Man.
I don't even think it's that good of a card, but it's just the only red tutor.
Red needs all the help it can get. We just shit on red here. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry. We are going to move on to Dominaria, which was released in April 22nd. And this was mostly new cards, and it introduced sagas. Ooh boy. I think everyone was overall pretty positive about it. Don't you agree?
Everyone was really hyped because we came back to Dominaria. This is kind of Magic's year, being the 25th year of Magic, to kind of revisit a lot of things that are very close to people's hearts. So Dominaria being one of the biggest planes, introducing sagas. In my opinion, I think sagas are a really interesting concept because they happen to be more of a storytelling, and I think that's really cool, where each turn kind of does something and it kind of tells a story about something. I'm just disappointed that sagas didn't continue throughout the rest of the year, and we only saw sagas in Dominaria. I would really love to see some other set try and bring sagas back.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we do, maybe next year. I'm hoping for that, because some of them are good, and you can see what is going to happen, but that's also kind of the fun. It's ooh, the inevitable coming to hit you. Besides from sagas, another big thing about this set was the legendary sorceries. So if you had a legend, I think it was, I'm trying to remember how they work. I think if you have a legendary creature or a legendary permanent on the field, you can then cast that spell.
Correct. You needed to have a legendary permanent on the field in order to cast the legendary sorcery.
Okay. And usually they had pretty strong effects. We're going to put them up on the screen again, so you can look at them all. But I think they all had pretty strong effects, more or less. And it was also pretty well received, I think, from everybody. Another card that was of note of this set was probably Helm of the Host, the one where it like can make copies of your commander without them immediately self-destructing because of the legendary rule. And like most notably, it goes in like Aurelia decks, and I've seen it in a few other ones where it's just like some spicy tech.
For a long time, I didn't really understand the legendary rule. And it was probably only about 3 months ago where I was like, oh wait, if you have 2 legendary creatures of the same name, one of them has to be destroyed. And that kind of confused me for a while because that's never been a strategy of mine. So now I really understand like why Helm of the Host is such a good card. Because when people were posting all these combos, I was like, okay, so what? But now I see that it's actually really beneficial to have a copy of, especially your commander, like the central card to your deck strategy, having multiples of that card.
Yeah, because like I still think about what Dylan said, where it's like he's been playing since the beginning, and like commander decks have been shifting focus where it's more around the commander than it is the 99. And so it's like, if that's true, then Helm of the Host creating a copy of your commander is like even more powerful. Like, okay, yeah, I've seen it do work, and it's pretty brutal. One last thing to note about this set was that we got 43 new commanders from this. So like almost half of all the commanders we got this year were from this set, and that's nothing to really kind of overlook. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like half the new commanders we got this year were from this set. We got ones like, and the most notable ones were like Firesong and Sunspeaker, Joda, Lyra Dawnbringer, Muldrotha, Slimefoot, Tatiova, Yargle, and like a bunch of other like slightly less noticeable ones.
I want to say that a lot of the kind of emphasis on the legendary was because of this fucking new format that they came up with called Brawl.
I was gonna leave that out, but okay.
Here's a fun little fact about Brawl. But there was one Brawl tournament that was, I forget where, but some guy won the tournament because he was the only one who showed up to that tournament. And that's how much of a fucking clusterfuck of Brawl is. Okay,
well, I don't want to get into this, but we're only going to spend like 1 or 2 minutes on this, because like, because WotC has like, when you compare Magic to all the other trading card games, I think Magic has the most formats, and so they were like, why not add just one more? And like, I'm like, okay, and it just really didn't pick up with any existing format players, and it didn't really draw in any new players who were like, I don't know anything about Magic, but I hear this Brawl thing's pretty cool, so I'm gonna get into the game. That didn't happen, and so it just sort of flopped. And I mean, like, I don't know, I'm willing to move on. It's like Wizards of the Coast tried something new, and I'm willing to like be like, all right, at least you tried something. Like, respect there.
I'll give you that, but still, it was kind of
yeah, it was like, oh, this is a fucking failure, and it's kind of fun to watch the dumpster fire. Yeah.
I want to take over for this next set because, in my opinion, it was the best set of the year, and that's Battle Bond. At first, when I saw this, I was like, this looks dumb as fuck. But I actually think that this was probably the most ingenious set of the whole year. Battle Bond being a set that really encouraged the multiplayer format. So it came out June 8th, and it kind of introduced 2 different mechanics, Team and Assist, for the format Two-Headed Giant, which is a format where you're playing with another person, you share the same life total, And so if one person dies or if one person decks out, then you both lose. So a lot of those cards, though, could then be taken and put them into Commander. So this set was often referred to as the Commander Masters. The other thing about this set, though, was that partner became a new thing, which is 2 creatures that partner with each other. And so that meant that if you cast a creature that had partner, you were able to go tutor out the card that one card with partner specified. So it was almost like you were able to tutor out a card that would assist the card that you just cast, which is very powerful. And also for Commander, you're able to use that as 2 commanders. So it's like having the partner effect, but it had to be partner specific.
Yeah, that was going to be the one thing I add, where it's like, this was a like partner with blank. It's not like the previous partner mechanic where you can mix and match. It was partner with this specific other card.
Yeah, and then also the introductions of the 2 or more opponent lands, which were these lands that if you didn't have more than 2 opponents, then they came into play tapped, which is very beneficial to Commander because you're often playing with more than 2 people. So these cards that would be pretty much dual lands are now dual lands.
Yeah, suck it, Modern and Standard.
Suck it. Some of the most notable cards in the set were Arena Rector. So Otzi fucked up Planeswalkers with Immortal Sun, so they had to kind of balance things out. So what Arena Rector does is when she dies, you're able to go and tutor out a Planeswalker.
Yeah. It's like they hate on Planeswalkers, then they kind of give them a fun toy. So it's like, all right.
Go get Jace the Mind Sculptor. Shut the fuck up, Blake.
You know my opinions on Jace the Mind Sculptor.
And that's why I told you to shut the fuck up. So some of the notable reprints for this set were Greater Good, Land Tax with the good art, Mysicon Lattice, Norcana Revenue.
Mycosynth Lattice.
Blake, if I could fight you over a screen, I would.
You're welcome.
Seedborn Muse and True Name Nemesis. True Name Nemesis being like a $40 card that was only in like a Commander set one time, and now being reprinted, it significantly came down from that.
Yeah, all I know is that this was much more important in other formats because it's like 1v1 and like this basically gave you protection from that player, but it's useless in Commander. I just want to say that.
Whatever.
It's not useless, but it's next to useless. It's like one tier above.
I'm sure that there are some benefits or some combos that you could do.
That's being a bit too lenient. But there was a new reprint with new art. Yeah, it was doubling season, and everyone lost their fucking mind because everyone's like, oh my god, this goes in so many green decks, and now I can finally afford it. And I am like, okay, you do you. I don't like the new art, but you guys can do it. You guys can buy it and kill me with it.
I don't dislike the new art, but I'm also like, I don't feel like it kind of plays into what doubling season actually does, which is doubling season pretty much doubles the amount of tokens or counters that
I didn't really get that from the art.
Your turn. Right. It fit more into the theme of Battle Bond than it did anything else.
Yeah. We're just nitpicking here though, so whatever.
So we had 14 new commanders for this set. Rathama, Nagila, the Will and Rowan, Planeswalker commanders, kind of like the Tyrion and Cersei Lannisters who fuck each other.
God damn it.
And in that 14 commanders. We also had the partner with, like, Purr and Toothy, Okan and Zinder Split, Regena and Krav.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd just like to also say that I would really like to see some kind of follow-up to the set, or maybe a more specific Battle Bond set to Commander, because I thought that this was really well done for multiplayer format, and I think that some of these mechanics like assist, where your teammate or anyone else at the table can help pay for mana costs, or these partner abilities, partner cards, so you can have more partner commanders, really kind of like spice up the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like probably the most underrated set of the year, in my opinion. I liked it. Just real quick note, we're not going to talk about it for very long, but there was Commander Anthology Volume 2 that came out in June 8th, and the only reason we're mentioning this is because they had a few notable reprints, that being Atraxa, because everyone like loses their mind over Atraxa. And Fiery...
It's the most popular commander.
What?
It's the most popular commander.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up. It's like nobody knows what to do with her, so they just go in a million different directions, and everyone thinks they're being clever, and you're not. Sorry. Then there's also Fiery Confluence, which I'm glad that they reprinted. There's Grave Pact. Also glad they reprinted. Basically all these I'm glad they reprinted. There was Urza's Incubator and Wormcoil Engine. And those were the, 5 good reprints. So that's why we mention it. They were nice reprints. And then probably the most important year of the event, event of the year. Sorry, I've been drinking a bit. We started the Wizard Staff podcast. Woo! I'll drink to that.
I will drink the rest of this bottle to that.
Okay. Is that because there's only a little bit left? Yeah, that's why I'm watching you drink. No, but seriously, it's been fun. We've been we've been playing longer than we've been recording this podcast. Thank you for all who have been supporting us. We appreciate it a lot.
This all kind of started around Blake's birthday when I was like, hey, we should start making a podcast. And he was kind of like, sure. And then it just kind of it's definitely developed a lot more since our initial, and I'm really happy with where we are, and I do really appreciate anyone who ever listens to any of our episodes.
Mm-hmm. You guys are great. We appreciate it. Yeah, I was basically guy was like, let's start a podcast, and I'm like, haha, yeah, totally. And then it's like, all right, I bought us mics, we can record using this and this. I'm like, oh shit, okay, I guess we're doing this. Yeah, and it's been great. Thank you again.
We actually recorded a fake episode almost, where see, Blake forgot about this a little, but we recorded a fake episode where we talked about Battle Bond. It was only about 15 minutes long, I think.
I do remember this now.
But we recorded this, and we were kind of like, oh, this will be a test podcast. We'll just kind of see how it looks, see how it feels. It was really just meant to be a introduction to the podcast world. I don't think it's available right now on our...
It's not.
YouTube channel. Well, maybe it's time to let that see the light.
Maybe. Do you have the audio still? I don't think I have the audio.
Well, I think it's on our YouTube channel, but it's just blocked to everyone but us.
Maybe. We'll think about it. Anyways. Shit. We have Core Set 2019 that came out in July 13th. And if you want to learn about how we felt about it, go watch episode 2.
I just want to say that episode 2 was probably the fucking worst experience for me. Because doing the first episode, I was like, yeah, I had a lot of fun. And then we did a set review of Core Set 2019. And it's over 2 hours long. And editing that was a fucking nightmare. And I never, ever want to do that again. Never want to do an episode over 2 hours now.
We won't. We've learned from our mistakes.
We have learned.
We're smart. All right. But yeah, check out episode 2 if you want to hear us review Core Set 2019. Anyway, Core Set 2019 was mostly new cards. You may remember it because of the Bolas sorceries, like Apex of Power, Fraying, Omnipotence, Patient Rebuilding. All of which I didn't realize until making these notes that were only in colors that Nicol Bolas Planeswalker is. I was like, why isn't there a green one? Why isn't there like a white one? And I'm like, wait, it's Nicol Bolas Planeswalker colors. Oh shit, I'm so dumb.
Well, it's just Nicol Bolas colors in general, because I don't think there's ever been a Nicol Bolas that's had a green or a white in it.
Okay, smartass. Guy, I feel like you're the most qualified to talk about this next point.
Nexus of Fate?
Yeah, you bought it.
I think I'm the most, I guess that makes me qualified to talk about this
More
card.
qualified than I am. I don't know.
There was a lot of controversy around this card because it was a buy a box promo, which meant that you had to buy a box of Core Set 2019 in order to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up becoming like a tier 1 card in a lot of modern decks. And so people weren't really willing to spend the $100-some to buy a box of Core Set 2019 to then get, well, you would actually have to spend several $100s to get 4 copies of Nexus of Fate. But it then kind of came out that Wizards said, no, it's definitely a card that you can get pretty easily, because then a lot of LGSs kind of gave it out for free as like prizes for tournaments. And so it was originally, I think the peak that it reached was like $50. But then I think it's right now sitting around 15 to 17.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was standard or modern, but it was one of those formats where it was like temporarily like near tier 0 with like Nexus of Fate Turbo Fog. That's all I know about it. One of these days we're gonna like learn how to do modern and standard, and that's gonna be their own episode. So look forward to that. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I definitely, so yeah, I bought a copy because I was like, oh, this is such a good card. Oh my god, I should have it. But it's not in my deck anymore because I think it's actually kind of not that viable in Commander.
I've definitely been wrecked by it. Yeah. I guess the most noticeable reprints then of this set, because like we said, like this was mostly new cards, but there were some notable reprints. That being Crucible of Worlds, which thank God there was finally a reprint of that. It was like about $50 from my memory. And then Omniscience, which was $25, which then became about $5. And Omniscience is my number 1 blue card, pet card, so watch episode 11 for that.
I am rolling my eyes so fucking hard.
It's a good card. Fuck up. Like some reprints that had new art were Scape Shift. That was another card that people were excited about.
That's it.
What was that?
And that's
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's still something. I don't know. Yeah, I know that my friend Park bought both Crucible of Worlds and Scape Shift when they were super expensive, and then this set came out and he was like really sad, and I'm like, oh, I'm sad for you too. This set,
Sorry, Park.
yeah, sorry Park, we'll have you on in a future episode, actually very soon, so stay tuned to future episodes because he's gonna be a future guest. Anyways,
I feel like as we've talked about this set, we've probably plugged ourselves the most.
it's hard not to. I'm sorry.
Watch episode 2. Watch episode 11. Stay tuned for future episodes.
I don't feel shameful about it. Like, yeah, sorry guys.
I don't either, but like,
It's funny.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. There were 10 new commanders in this set. They were basically the revamped Elder Dragons. So this was like super nostalgic because anyone knows anything about EDH history, it was founded on like the Elder Dragons as the very first commanders. And so revamping the Elder Dragons was like a really big deal. And so we had Arcades, Chromium, Nicol Bolas, Palladium Wars, and Vivictus Asmodi. All got brand new arts and new effects, and overall I feel they were received pretty well.
I just want to say that the only one I still think is like probably a piece of shit is Palladium.
Yeah,
Wars.
sorry Palladium Wars, you fucking suck. I guess the one other notable card was Goreclaw, the bear, where, I don't know, you can finally run Bear Tribal, where your commander is also a bear. I don't know, I just thought it was... I mean, you can do other things with Goreclaw, but I'm just like, me, the super casual person who doesn't really care about competitiveness, I'm just like, yay, Bear Tribal, it's finally complete. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess. Our next set was Commander 2018, released August 10th. This is what we've been waiting for, folks. All Commander players, this is what we wait for all fucking year. Also, check out episode 4. Because that's when we...
Plug.
Yeah, selfless self-promotion. It's Commander Christmas time. And our new commanders are Aminatu, the little girl, Estrid, older woman, Lord Windgrace, the Lands Matter deck, and Saheeli. So all of them are Planeswalker commanders. We have the Esper Flicker deck, the Bant Enchantments, the Jund Lands Matter, and the Izzet Artifacts. One notable thing to help you kind of like remember this set was the Commander Storm sorceries, where based on the number of times you've cast your commander, you can storm off on these sorceries and cast them multiple times, and everybody hated them.
I don't know why you're pointing these cards out, because I have seen no impact from them whatsoever, so like I almost feel like bringing them up is like
Salt in the wound.
Pretty useless.
I don't know. They can't, like, it's a idea specific to this set, and it's like I'm gonna shit on it if I want to.
I do like the concept. I just don't think that these cards had a notable impact. Like the idea of a card copying itself each time for you cast your commander is pretty cool, but I also don't think any of these cards were like, boom, in your face, this is now a commander staple. Like, I feel like if they were going to make these cards kind of with that mindset, they should have become more prominent in a lot more decks.
Well, let's kind of think about it, because like the best situation where these cards are good is when you have to cast your commander multiple times. And if that's the situation, you're probably losing, because you're like having to like recast your commander over and over again, and you're probably like not doing so well. And so yeah, these cards are therefore, if you're casting this card, best case scenario, you're already in like a losing game state, so you're kind of already fucked. But I do appreciate the idea of Wizard of the Coast trying to make cards that are addressed for commander players. They were unsuccessful in this, and they were successful in the Battle Bond lands. That's one way to look at it. That's how I look at it. Yeah.
Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Whoop-de-fucking-do. Mild controversy of this set was the whole Jund Lands Matter deck that actually didn't care about lands when people were opening it and realized, oh, this doesn't have any land synergy, and then you just increase the price on us while reducing the number of commanders from 5 to 4. Like, I think people were mildly annoyed about that too.
Well, last year they also had the commanders only as 4 instead of 5. But again, then increasing the price was definitely not the move.
Yeah. But we did get 16 new commanders. We got like Yannette, the one that cares about like odd or even cards. Verena, Tuvasa, Kestia, Thantis, Gyrus, Brutaclad, Tanos, Arixmith, Varchild, Xantia, and Yuriko. I feel like all of them were pretty well received. Especially Yuriko, because people are like, love it when you cheat out commander decks.
I fucking hate Yuriko. I'd like to say that probably one of the other biggest controversies of this set was that there was no notable reprint, which made it a huge bummer for most people, especially since there was a significant price increase, $5, for all of the sets, all the decks. Because last year for Commander 2017, we had a couple that were a little expensive, like you had Mirari's Wake. That was a very good card that got reprinted for the cat deck. And this year we didn't see any kind of high dollar card get reprinted in any of these sets, which also doesn't then justify why you're increasing the price. Next set, Guilds of Ravnica.
Oh yeah. So we have, everyone is pretty like nostalgic about Ravnica, and they reintroduced the guilds, the Dimir, Boros, Golgari, Izzet, and Selesnya guilds. And the corresponding mechanics for that were Surveil, Mentor, Undergrowth, Jumpstart, and Convoke. Convoke was the only one that's been previously used mechanic. Guilds of Ravnica was mostly new cards. One thing of note was that I just remember, when I think of Guilds of Ravnica, I just remember everyone losing their minds about Assassin's Trophy. Like, everyone was losing their fucking minds. Holy shit.
It's a great card. I remember it being pre-ordered for $50, and I was like, guys,
stop.
Cool your shit. Because I guess it's a commander staple for the decks that can run it, but it's not as versatile, I think, as Swords to Plowshare.
Yeah, it's like, if you have a Golgari deck, then yeah, put it in there. But like, if you don't, maybe don't. I don't know. I just loved all the people, me included, calling it Ass Trophy.
That's a pretty accurate name for it.
Yeah. It's a good card, don't get me wrong, but I just love calling it Ass Trophy. I'm sorry, I'm a 7-year-old kid. The other thing I remember about this set was the whole mission briefing versus Snapcaster Mage comparison that people couldn't help comparing.
I definitely have some thoughts on this, because I think this argument is more relevant in Modern.
Yeah.
From what I've read. If you had the means to run both of them in a commander deck, you totally should. But if you're only going to run one of them, then Mission Briefing is definitely your cheaper option. And Mission Briefing being the card that allows you to surveil, so you put 2 cards from the top of your library into your graveyard, and then that gives you a little more option as to something that you can cast. But also, Snapcaster Mage is a body that you can flash out and then do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the also notable things is that mission briefing would allow you to cast cards with overload. So, for example, mission briefing would allow you to cast Cyclonic Rift with overload.
The only overload card we care about.
Yeah, the only overload card that anyone gives a shit about.
Let's be real here.
But Snapcaster Mage would only allow you to cast Cyclonic Rift for the 2 mana. So you would only be able to put back 1 card.
Yeah. So like as a commander player, I think people care much more about mission briefing because of Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah, I guess.
I think so.
I don't know. I want to run both. And I do run both.
Porcano Los Dos.
Just because I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a common misconception about commander players where they're like, should I run this or this? And I'm just like, they're both good cards. Why don't you run both for consistency? Dedoy.
Right. Especially because if you have a really good effect that you're trying to like build around, you want to have more of those effects. So yeah, you want to try and put in as many cards with that effect as possible. So for commander specific, yeah, definitely run both if you can.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one or the other, I guess mission briefing because it's only like $3.
Yeah. Continuing on with our analysis, we have notable reprints, that being Chromatic Lantern. It was getting about it was kind of expensive, and it's kind of a staple in like any 3+ color deck. You can argue with us whether or not, especially, well, some people argue it's overrated, but if you're like kind of more on a budget like Guy and I are, it's like, well, fuck you, I'm playing Chromatic Lantern. I can't afford all the fancy ass lands like you can, you fuck.
I definitely think, if not in a 3-color deck, it's a staple in any 4 or 5.
Oh, definitely. I feel like, yeah, I agree with that. 3-color can get away with it, but like 4 and 5, like, yeah, you probably want it in there. Even just as a...
You definitely want it.
Yeah, I don't know. Most of them do. We have 8 new commanders from this set, that being the new Aurelia, the new Amara, the Etrata, Izoni, the new Lazav, and the new Niv-Mizzet, and the new Tajik, and the new Tristani. So a lot of them being old cards that then have new effects.
Part of Guilds of Ravnica is that it's a kind of a 3-part series.
Yeah.
That we didn't mention. So Guilds of Ravnica being the first of the series. We have Ravnica Allegiance. Stay tuned for our Ravnica Allegiance video, which will be coming out at the end of January.
Fuck off.
But so it's part of a 3-set series where the first set, Guilds of Ravnica, covers the first 5 guilds. Ravnica Allegiance then covers the other 5. And then they haven't announced what the 3rd set will be called, but that'll definitely cover more of the other... I think that'll probably cover all the guilds. Because it's meant to tell a story of kind of Ravnica coming to war. And that's what Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiances builds up to. And then the 3rd set, which is unnamed, is going to kind of give away like what happens.
Also, for me, can you guys like please stop printing so many goddamn Niv-Mizzet commander cards? Like, aside from Jace, like, can you guys just chill? Like, you printed so many of them. Can you please just stop? Like, any player can like fight me. I'm just like, you printed so many Niv-Mizzets. Please stop.
I don't have a problem with Niv-Mizzet in my opinion, but I guess if I were to see another one soon, I would probably be upset.
Yeah. That's just me being a fickle bitch.
There was so
ignore me.
There was the Guilds of Ravnica Mythic Edition.
Oh yeah.
Which we were super hyped about at first because they had announced the full foil art planeswalkers, but those turned out to be cards that you could only get in this specific Guilds of Ravnica Mythic Edition that you could only then buy through the Hasbro site, which is a broken piece of trash. So it was very much to the advantage of Hasbro, instead of trying to promote local game stores by being able to sell this product. And I think that's what made a lot of people upset. And then there was a huge, it was very short reprinted, so a lot of these really pretty cards are now kind of sought after.
Yeah, I think everyone was just mad about Wizards of the Coast really screwing over LGSs when... Don't do that, man. They're trying to help you out. They're trying to sell your stuff. Be nice to them. That's where players actually want to go. Because there are some cool LGSs out there, like the one I went to recently, where they were also a bar/restaurant, and I chose not to drink the first time I went there because I didn't want people to think I have a drinking problem. But next time I go in a few days, I'm definitely gonna get a beer before I play, and yeah, that'll be great.
They'll probably kick you out because you're gonna drink so much.
No, I have impulse control. I have very good impulse control, except on this podcast. Anyway, we are moving into the later part of the year. We're moving into like mid-October, where Sheldon Menery's article dropped. Sheldon Menery is a part of the rules committee, the people kind of in charge of the ban list for Commander, kind of. And this was very controversial. The article was titled Commander Cards You Shouldn't Play. Again, we're not going to go over every single detail. We're just going to go over the main points. For me, this was kind of a clickbaity title, and one of the first few sentences of Sheldon Menery in this article was, yeah, I acknowledge this is a clickbait title, but now I have your attention. Here's what I have to say. For me personally, I don't appreciate that. I immediately lost respect for him.
Sheldon, fuck you.
Okay, I'm not that strong, but I'm just saying, like, I don't respect people who use clickbait. Yeah.
Check out Commander 2018. Best year for Commander. Oh my god, you won't believe it. That's the title of this episode.
God damn it, guy. So, to summarize his article, he was basically like, our playgroup doesn't like using these cards because we don't find them fun. That's really what the article is. That's really it. That's the entire article. And the only thing I really have to say about this is the fact that everyone has a different definition of fun. Like, my definition of fun is very different than your definition of fun.
My definition of fun is fucking people over to make sure that they don't have fun. Why is that so hard?
Guy, I'm really excited.
Which I think...
I'm really excited for you to meet Park, because Park likes stacks, and I feel like you're just gonna really hit it off with him.
Check out episode 15. Is that what it's going to be, I think?
Check. I think that's what it's going to be. Yeah, we have it planned.
15 or 16, check out our stacks episode.
Yeah. Boy. But yeah, our point is everyone has a different definition of fun. Fun is a subjective term. Like we've said before, do whatever the fuck you want to do. This is Commander. That's why you came here. Yeah, we're moving on.
Ultimate Masters.
You can go check out our previous episode that we just released. Wow, we're such fucks. If you don't know anything about Ultimate Masters, it was a Masters set that was released. It introduced the idea of box toppers, which is one foil full art card at the very top of this set. It was at a very controversial $338 MSRP, the most expensive Magic product ever released upon release. And it's gonna apparently be the last master set for a while, according to WotC. And we're not gonna go into any more details, because if you want to learn more about that, just go check out our previous episode.
I'm about to go into a little more detail. But
God damn it.
So we had Masters 25 at the beginning of the year, which a lot of people were very upset about because they thought that it wasn't including some of the cards that really represent Magic, especially after it coming out for 25 years. Ultimate Masters being the last Master set that they're going to print for a while, definitely had a lot of those cards that were kind of missing from the Masters 25, and printed a lot of cards that were kind of modern staples. I don't know what a modern staple is. I play Commander and Commander exclusively. But we saw a lot of high level cards get reprinted. So I think Ultimate Masters, even with all the controversy and the high MSRP, was still a success. And fucking fight me, but I think it actually did what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Go watch episode 13.
No, this is 13. Go
12,
watch episode 12.
Go watch episode 12.
Basically, the whole point of this podcast was basically for us to say, go watch all of our previous episodes. Let's be honest. Hooray! In conclusion, if you look back across the entire year, you'll actually realize that we have 100 new commanders this year, which, holy shit, like, if you average that out, you're getting a new commander every, 4 days. So, don't say Wizards of the Coast does nothing for you. Just saying, guys. Stop being a bunch of ungrateful fucks. Here we are at the end of 2018. Man, it's been a real fun year. It's been a lot. It's been a whole lot. It's been a time.
Are you excited for anything, or are you hopeful, I guess, for anything in 2019?
Oh boy. I hope they don't keep increasing the prices on sets. I hope they keep, with Masters, or with Ultimate Masters, Wizards of the Coast proves they hear us and they know what valuable reprints are. So I'm hoping they continue reprinting good cards whenever they may come, because apparently it's the last Master set for a while. I also hope that they keep giving us new legendary creatures that do interesting things instead of just very straightforward, boring things. That's really what I hope for. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for in 2019. And I also hope the format doesn't completely die like all the Doomsayers do, and I just roll my eyes every time I talk to them, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. If I'm hopeful for anything, it's just some continuation of Battle Bond, or some new set that still kind of promotes that multiplayer setting. That's what I'm most hopeful for. I will be very interested to see what WotC does for reprints, since no more master sets means there's no set that's going to be dedicated exclusively to reprints. So I'm going to be interested to see if they just start including one or two more sought after reprints for Modern in some of these sets, or what are they going to do? Or is there just going to be some not masters? I'm doing quotations, but you can't see that. But not master sets that they're going to release oh, look at all these reprints, but it's not masters.
I would put it past them.
So
yeah. One last thing that I thought of was there were no unbans or bans in Commander this year. Many of you may be thinking about Protean Hulk, but that actually happened last year. Same with Leovold. That happened last year. There were no ban or unban in Commander in 2018. So I'll be very interested in 2019 to see if there are any, because after reading Sheldon's article, I don't really agree with his analytical reasoning, and yeah.
So something I would like to see, especially for maybe 2019, is let's add some cards to the ban list and take off a few cards where we're able to kind of balance the format. I don't know what the actual cards you could take on and off would be because I'm drunk right now and I can't be too analytical. But since we didn't see any cards being added to the ban list, I feel like the format was pretty stagnant. But if anything, maybe we should just add a few cards to the ban list. I don't know what those cards would be, unless if we go back and watch our episode where we talk about the ban list.
I was about to say, you self-promoting piece of shit.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So, taking some cards off, putting some cards on. That would, I think, allow some play groups to get a little more spicy. We could see a few more creative plays. Especially with... I thought about this, but like... I feel like competitive decks tend to be the most overused cards, where all the cards are very much the same. Like, you see a lot of similarities between competitive cards because those are the best cards, but then looking for alternatives from those best cards.
All right. I'm not sure if I want to ban cards unless we need to, but we'll see what happens in 2019. I'm excited. Like, I feel pretty good about the way the game is right now, as I think most people are if they actually think about it. Anyways,
Unban Leovold.
Oh my god.
It's getting reprinted in Ultimate Masters. I think this is the time.
Well, again, let us know what you guys are hoping for next year, or any thoughts you have about this year. Like always, you can find us on YouTube. We are now on iTunes, and you can also find us on Twitter. We're pretty active on Twitter.
We post a lot of fucking memes.
Yeah, mostly Guy, because he's good at that. Find all those links in the description, and thank you guys for listening so much to our 2018 EDH review. Yeah.
We'll see you in 2019.
Woo! Get lit.
All right. Peace.
Peace out, guys.
I do not like this painting, Charlie. Smug aura mocks me.